yo. Trophied up, yeah. Hey, do yo. Trophied up. Do yo dance when the G's up. Spaced out, got me geeked up. 10 toes on the west, cannot beat us. You cannot. Shining every time they meet us. Rack 'em up, since 96. Been number one in LA, something like that's the gist.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talkin Galaxy episode 4. Today, I'm joined by Tab. How you doing, man?
Doing good. I mean, we're coming back at a Monday this time. Coming at you at all angles this week or this season.
Yeah, we already got a comment from Vata saying I better not see Tab. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got very
Night
bad
ruined.
news for you. Anyway, it is the off season, and the Galaxy have added their third designated player. We got the Ricky Pooge replacement. Quickly, I want to shout out in the chat. We got a new Galaxy page that this man's running. I believe it is. Let me pull it up. We got a bunch of new Galaxy pages. I know, like I talked about last podcast, we got Chris running Galaxy Buzz coming up soon. We got this man with his new account too. So make sure to go check him out. Let me pull this up. I promised him I'd give him a shout out, so we're gonna start the podcast with the shout out here. I love to see all the content creators and the whole community. I know you do really good work, Tab. It's a great group. We got Galaxy Footy 96, so shout out Galaxy Footy 96. But the whole community, man, it's just
all but one.
Bro, I literally sometimes I'll like click on Instagram and I'll see like a post from you or something, or somebody posting something, and I'll like check freaking Twitter. And how do you find this stuff? Like the Klauss airport thing? Do you just search up Joao Klauss on Twitter every like 30 minutes?
That was JP. JP found that first and he sent it to one of the group chats. I'm like, no way. So I go to Twitter. Yeah.
Bro, JP
he sent it to
what
was it? Yeah. And then I looked on Twitter. I couldn't find it. And I searched up Joao Klauss, and then there it was.
Yeah.
JP's scrolling it. LA Galaxy, Los Angeles Galaxy, and Joao Klauss. He's looking for everything.
Look,
he's not missing a single
is
thing.
just chronically online. Like I don't know what to say. The guy's always he'll like send a random thing to the group chat. He'll be like, dude, look at Paintcell's new wrist tape. And it's like, okay. I mean, it's wrist tape, man. I don't interesting group of content creators that we have here. If you want to know what goes into it, it's a lot of being chronically online for a lot of us. Anyway, yeah, the LA Galaxy. I forgot this is a show about the LA Galaxy, huh? Man, we are in the thick of it now. Not to like the KSI
reference.
Yeah, exactly. But seriously, the Galaxy have signed their third designated player, Joao Klauss. It looks like this deal is being finalized via Tom Bogert. Last podcast, this was not even on our radar. The fact that we do one podcast a week is funny because the news always breaks the next day. So whoever ends up being our attacking midfielder next season or this upcoming season, I assume that news will probably break tomorrow. Because it just always seems like it happens the day after we finish a podcast. But we went through the whole evolution of this. At first, Tom Bogert reported that the Galaxy were in talks for Joao Klauss. And, when Tom Bogert says something, you probably want to listen. It's probably advanced. And then he ends up following up this weekend and saying that the Galaxy are finalizing a deal. He was spotted at an airport in St. Louis today. And what's your initial thoughts and reactions on this signing? Let's just get that out of the way.
So at first glance, I know I got some scoops in that we're going to sign a Brazilian goleador. And my mind immediately went to yeah, I thought it was a attacker midfielder. My mind went straight to Evander, and then we find out that it's Joao Klauss. It was a little bit underwhelming, but then also, if you think about it, it's more realistic. It's within our budget, and I think it also plays into the future very well. I think that this deal is through 2026 season, and then if we want to re-sign him to another contract, this contract could be a max TAM contract, and he could be our 9 for the coming few seasons if we wanted, if it works out well. But obviously, if you're looking at it right now, Joao Klauss, the DP deal, what are we doing? Are we not ambitious or anything? But I think this Greg Vanney and Will Kuntz always talk about stability and also building for the future. I think this move is that thing that they've been preaching about this whole time, about building the stability, building this core that you can bring to the future. And also, this also gives us a chance to bring back Ricky Puig, and he has a 9 to play off of, and we don't have to go looking for a 9 next season. And he's got zero chemistry with all the players. So I think if you look at it deeply and tactically, I think this is a good signing, in my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, initially, I think the idea of having a third designated player makes you like dream as big as possible. We've seen a lot of shouts of, like, oh, go get Kevin De Bruyne, go get Weston McKennie, go get Evander, like go get all these guys. And the reality is, and Wilkins kind of touched on this in the press conference, is that it's not as easy as that. Finding a guy that's going to be your stopgap for a year isn't as easy as it sounds. Not everybody's willing to be like, yeah, I'll come to LA for a year and just, figure it out next year. These guys want long-term stability. I mean, this reminds me a little bit of the Justin Hack deal in the sense that I think this is a setup for a longer-term contract for Joao Klaus. I don't think the Galaxy would have splashed $2 million, and it's just a straight up cash trade. But I don't think we would have splashed $2 million if we had no intention on, re-signing him. I don't think they would have splashed that kind of money. Klaus was going to be a TAM player for St. Louis, so it definitely seems like a renegotiation could put him in TAM range. Probably about Diego Fagundes' salary last year. I think that's what he's making right now, but the reason why he's a designated player is you also have to add on the transfer fee and the remainder of the contract, which is only a year. So in total, he's going to be a designated player. There's no way around it. He's not going to be a TAM player. However, when that contract goes up after this year, I think you're looking at a long-term extension, assuming that he's somewhat solid for the Galaxy, which I think he will be. I think he will be. You're not looking at an MVP contender. I don't think you're not looking at, the upper echelon of strikers. You saw Inter Miami sign Bertrame. I don't think he's that type of guy at all, but he's solid. He's solid. I mean, you were looking for the successor to Dejan Joveljic. I think goal scoring output wise, he could probably get you, I would say 12 to 15 goals realistically by the end of the season. I mean, what do you think realistically is the expectation for Joao Klaus performance-wise?
Yeah, I think last season, if I remember correctly, he had 12 goals in all competitions for St. Louis, and that was with a very lackluster St. Louis side. I
Yeah.
think if you have Guy Ropek and Joseph Hansel feeding him through balls, feeding him crosses into the box, I think he can easily, like, hopefully, like, the ideal situation, he gets more than 15. That'd be like a dream come true. But I
Yeah.
think if he gets over 12, like you're saying, I think it's a successful signing. And then going back to you talking about going to a TAM contract next season, how the DP deal works is you have to take the transfer fee of the player and also the wage that he's taking out, and it has to be under a certain amount. I think it's around like 2 million or something like that. I'm not sure the actual number, but you put those two together, and then that's kind of how you like say if that's a designated player or whatnot. And since this is on a 1 year deal, you have to put this 2 million into 1 year. You can't amortize it like Inter Miami's doing Tadeo Allende, which is making him a max TAM player. It's all in one season, so you have 4 million basically playing for him in total. So that's why he has to be a DP this season, and then next season you don't have to worry about that 2 million that you're giving to St. Louis, because that's going to be all paid for off of this season. So next season, if he's here, max TAM, and we get Ricky Puig back. So I think that's why it's a good signing.
The real issue, I think, now that the Galaxy are looking at going forward is the fact that we don't have a number 10. I've seen a lot of discourse around, it's fine. We got Joao Klaus. We'll just start Marco Reus in the midfield and we'll roll with that. I'm sorry. If you're starting Marco Reus and you're depending on him to go 34 games, you're going to be very disappointed for what the season's going to end up becoming for the Galaxy. I think Wilkins, knowing how bad that went last year without, a proper number 10, is going to look to strengthen that position. I'm not saying Marco Reus can't start certain games. I'm just saying that I don't think he can be your guy that's going to go 34. You can't expect that. Whatever money that we have left in general allocation money, and this is what the chart's looking like right now, is that the Galaxy are 27th in Major League Soccer. We're towards the bottom in allocation money. It seems like this would include either the Hack or Gleesness, deals. If not both. it's interesting to see what this looks like right now, because I don't know how updated this is. MLS released this, the MLS Players Association released this. And once again, the Galaxy are towards the bottom right. I would expect this number goes to 0 very soon. I would expect that the Galaxy push up against the cap as we do every single year. I don't think these guys have the luxury in the front office, whether it's Will Kuntz or Greg Vanney. I don't think they have the luxury to hold on to this money. I really don't. I would be looking at a box-to-box midfielder and an attacking midfielder. I think there's still two pieces, and Will Kuntz alluded to two pieces coming in, and one of them I'd expect being Joao Klauss, and the other being another attacking midfielder. But Tab, do you have any word or insight or anything on an attacking midfielder?
So I'm hearing we're going to be signing a Japanese player. That's what we're looking into. Not sure if this is J League. I'm not sure where this Japanese player is coming from, but from my source, Will Kuntz is looking at a Japanese player to bring in, and seeing that Will Kuntz in the presser said that we're going to bring in 2 more attacking pieces, and that's including Joao Klauss. I think that we can tell just from kind of putting the two knowledges together that this Japanese player will most likely be a 10, and hopefully is a good kind of contrary piece to Marco Reus, because like you said, Marco Reus is not going to be a 34 game starter for a whole season. He could come off the bench like he did in the 24 season and put up numbers. And he can also have those little stints where he can start some games and also get a ton of goal contributions like in the 25 season. But full season with Marco Reus at the 10 is just not going to do it. So I think if what I'm hearing is right, I think this Japanese player will be playing the 10 for us. So keep an eye out for some rumors like that.
Yeah. I would also look at maybe a guy like Julian Ade moving. I don't have any necessary insight on that. I just feel like the writing's on the wall for him and probably Christian Ramirez to end up leaving the club. I mean, there is a possibility that the Galaxy do move to a 3-back and they move into something like a 3-5-2. And maybe Ramirez has a role in that then. Maybe you could have Nascimento and Joao Klauss up top. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I just feel like Christian Ramirez being third in the depth chart, making $500K a year just doesn't sound right to me. It feels like a move's imminent. I know Tom Bogert talked about the fact that last year, apparently, Minnesota United wanted Christian Ramirez. I know he used to play for them, I believe, back in 2017, 2018. No, I think 2018 he was with LAFC, but 2017 he was with Minnesota United. They wanted him on loan. Except there is an MLS rule that they're now changing, of course, this year now, where it doesn't matter what age you are. You could be loaned anywhere within MLS. You could do loans from MLS club to MLS club with no age restriction. However, there was one last year, which is why Christian Ramirez ended up being a Galaxy player throughout the entirety of last year. Could there be loan interest for Christian Ramirez? Is this something where, you extended his contract for a year, you could have him out on loan, and then that contract, oh shoot, my light fell. We could deal with that contract next year. I knew that was gonna happen, man. I think you just deal with that contract next year. Honestly, I think Christian Ramirez's role in the Galaxy is just I think his time's up. I think Julian Ade could be the next one to probably leave. I think it makes sense from a Galaxy perspective, because I would expect that an attacking midfielder ends up being a U22 potentially. Weren't we linked to a certain Japanese attacking midfielder last year, Tab? I think you mentioned.
Yeah, there was last season. I think it was in the last summer or something, maybe 2 summers ago. We're interested in a player called Yasuto Wakizaki. He actually played on. Yeah,
not a real name, brother.
A little bit of a tongue twister there, but we're rumored with him. He's a Japanese 10. Who knows? Maybe Will Kuntz is predicting this Ricky Puig injury. He's like, I want this Wakizaki guy or Wakizaka when Ricky Puig's out. So, I mean, it's just speculation. I doubt it's actually his player, but we've seen that we have been interested in a Japanese 10 in the past. So, I mean, why wouldn't it be him? So, yeah, Wakizaka, keep an eye on him. He's a Japanese 10. He plays at Mickey Yamane's old club. I forget the actual name of the club. It's something wacky like Wakizaka. So you see it there. But
it's gotta be racist, man.
What?
It can't be.
It can't. I have an Asian girlfriend, so I got the pass.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. I want to see the profile. In my opinion, I think the Galaxy kind of need a guy in that attacking midfield role, like you said, that's a bit different than Marco Reus. Maybe a guy who's more like athletic, for starters. Maybe a guy who could play you 34 games. Not trying to diss on Marco Reus, but I'm just saying I think there's some qualities that Marco Reus can't provide you right now in this point of his career. And it's, he used to be a pacey guy. He's just not that guy anymore. So I think bringing in, maybe somebody with a little more pace could do the Galaxy very well. Just a little like a Ricky Puig from Timu, essentially. Like, just give me a little Ricky Puig in a bottle. Somebody who could, obviously isn't going to be Ricky Puig because he's going to be like a TAM player, if that. But he shows some flashes and he could do some certain things very well and grow into the system, because you don't know what version of Ricky Puig you're going to get next year, if we're being quite honest. But going back to the Klauss deal, I think this makes a lot of sense, because the fact of the matter is you're going to have Ricky Puig on your roster next year. So if you sign a guy to a long-term contract, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to have 4 designated players. And I don't think MLS is going to change the DP rule. I don't think they're banking on that. I think it's more likely that in the imminent future, they change something to expand out the general allocation money structure. But designated player-wise, I don't think that'll be happening for a little bit. And I don't think Will Kuntz wants to have to sell Gabriel Peck or have to sell Joseph Paintsil, because then you lose some transfer value from that. If teams know that you're desperate to sell somebody, you could end up in a really sticky situation if you're the Galaxy. So it makes sense. He was a proficient goal scorer for St. Louis City. Really good in 2023. Their inaugural I do not trust my light right now. Their inaugural expansion season, I know he's lighting it up, but the last 2 years he's had a bit of a slump. It was funny. I believe the last gesture that he did with St. Louis was he was like doing this after he scored a goal, like paying. So, I guess the Galaxy are going to be the ones to pay him. I'm assuming that after this year, they're going to get a long-term extension done with not only Joao Klauss, but Justin Hack, and make sure that, it really feels like right now this season's a bridge to 2027. Well, at least the full 2027 season, not the little stupid mini season. It really feels like everything that this is just, it's building up to, the Galaxy being consistent contenders. You could sign Klauss to a 3-year deal on, TAM. He's only 28 years old. You're going to get probably 3 more very efficient years from him. You add Ricky Puig to the mix. Hopefully he's the same guy. If he's not, then you'll figure that out in the winter of 2027. But in the meantime, you're just going to have to make it work. So, Tab, do you want to cover something on the Casemiro rumors? Because we got reports from Corner of the Galaxy that there is real interest, but it seems like it's a little far off right now. And especially with Klauss coming, just Casemiro, break it down.
Yeah, so I think it was like around a couple weeks ago, it was rumored from, I think, Daily Mail that Galaxy was interested in him, and you're like, what the heck? Why are we signing a 30, what was he, 35 years old?
I think,
why are we interested in a 35-year-old Casemiro? Like that, we don't even need a 6 right now, or whatever position he plays. So we kind of threw that off. I didn't really think much about it, but then it came out again last week, towards the end of last week, over the weekend, and Corner Galaxy confirmed through his sources that we do have actual interest in Casemiro. Well, this is not something to keep an eye on at the moment. This is something that would happen this summer possibly, because Casemiro's contract runs out with Man U in the summer after the European season ends. So maybe he's a little depth piece to bring in to give us a little boost going into playoffs if we're in that position. But I highly doubt this one goes through. There is interest, but personally, I don't think it'll go through. And I think tactically, I just don't think we need a Casemiro to come into the squad. I think we have midfield pieces that can do the job. And right now, the midfield piece that's missing is a 10. the midfield position we need is a 10 and not a 8/6. So I hope this rumor doesn't come to fruition, but who knows, something to keep an eye out for. It is cool though, I can't lie.
Yeah.
Casemiro may not be at the top of his game, but he's still putting in week out performances for Man U, and he's a main contributor to this kind of resurgence of Man U with Michael Carrick at the helm.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that what's it called, that one dude, the hair Trafford or whatever. You know, the dude that has his hair grown out.
Oh, the United strand.
That's it. Yeah, United strand gets. I think he's what? Man, he's at 2 wins in a row. 3 more for him to get a haircut, and they got a pretty easy schedule. I mean, they got to get to the mighty West Ham at the end. I know they have to get through West Ham at the end. That's impossible.
Okay. No, not here.
We're getting out of this relegation zone.
Yeah, we all know that Manchester United will show up for the big games, and they'll probably drop an egg against Fulham or something. I believe that.
Yeah, they got Fulham, Tottenham, and West Ham.
Yeah, they'll drop an egg somewhere in there. It's just okay. Well, you can stop. You can stop with that. However, I've seen the fan base split on this a bit. Here's my thing: is that one, this is going to have to be like a Marco Reus deal. If it has any potential on getting done, it would have to be like a Marco Reus deal. We don't have a designated player spot, and I promise, we already have 2 6s. I'm sorry, we already have 2 number 6s. We have Lucas Sanabria, who's naturally a number 6. We had Diego Fagundez on the podcast basically talk about the fact that the reason why Sanabria struggled was because he was a number 6 playing the number 8 last season. You know, that was a large reason why I think the transition into Major League Soccer play was a bit more difficult for him, is because he was always a number 6. But the other thing there is we have Edwin Cerrillo. Edwin Cerrillo is a pendant starter on this team. I'm very high on Edwin, and I don't think Casemiro is an option because we don't need a third number 6. We need a box-to-box midfielder. We need an attacking midfielder. We do not need 3 of the same prototype midfielder. Casemiro is a legend. He'll find money in Saudi Arabia. He'll find money elsewhere in Major League Soccer. It doesn't fit salary-wise, and it doesn't fit needs-wise. So for those 2 things combined, when I saw it from the Daily Mail, you know, it's something that you have to report on anyway, but it just never felt like it was truly going to happen. The fact that there is any interest is actually a little more mind-boggling to me. I mean, it depends. Interest could be a lot of things. Interest could be a phone call. Interest, you know, could be Will Kuntz talking to his agent and saying, hey, what's the lowest you would come to Major League Soccer for? You know, like what can we work out here just to see? Because if you could get a guy like that, he has, you know, he's a winner. He's a bona fide winner. I mean, it's somebody that I think a lot of teams in Major League Soccer would want on a TAM deal. It's just not a position of need for us right now. So for those reasons, I just don't see it happening. But it is interesting that there's anything actually real, especially coming from the Daily Mail. I kind of thought it was going to be one of those things where COG is going to be like, all right, there's nothing to this. Like there's absolutely nothing to this. But interest could be a lot of things. I'm not expecting that this is anything that gets done. And yeah, we could keep an eye on it. But Casemiro to the Galaxy just seems very, very unlikely at the moment. But there is genuine interest in that.
Yeah, just to buzz in on that, kind of piggyback off that, I did a little Google search, and it says Casemiro is making approximately $350 million, or not million, 350K per week, and that adds up to $18.2 million per year.
Yeah, have fun.
I mean,
with that.
If he's making that money in MLS, he's getting more than Lionel Messi, and like that's just not happening.
No, Saudi will pay him.
Yeah.
I would expect to see I mean, he announced he's leaving Manchester United. I think if he doesn't end up back in Europe somewhere, he'll end up in Saudi Arabia. They'll pay good money for him. And it's just not something that Major League Soccer teams are set up to do, especially for a defensive midfielder. It's very unconventional. So I don't see it happening whatsoever. And to be honest, I don't want it to happen. I think if we should be rumored to anybody, it should be like an MLS experience box-to-box midfielder, or like you were talking about, a proficient attacking midfielder that can provide for Joao Klauss, that can provide for Paintsel and Peck. So it's one to keep an eye on, but I wouldn't expect it to happen. We got a little, side news here is that, Tab, you want to cover this? Diego Fagundez might be.
Diego Fagundez has been in communication with Penarol from, Uruguay? This is a source close to the Penarol team. he has a podcast with the team, and he got confirmation from within the Penroll front office that Diego Fagundes has shown, or what's it called, Penroll has shown interest in Diego Fagundes and signing him. Penroll is a pretty well-known team from Uruguay. Obviously, they had Fede Valverde come out from their academy and stuff, so they've had some good players come out of that academy. So it's not some team that's a nobody. This is a pretty well-known team in Uruguay. And as we spoke with Diego Fagundes, and also confirmed by Will Kuntz in the presser on Wednesday, that he has not been in contact with Fagundes. So it's looking less and less likely, if there even was anyone thinking that Fagundes is coming back, it's not going to happen. So something to keep an eye out for. Obviously, it sounded like there's no MLS teams in for him as well at the moment. So he's looking elsewhere, and Uruguay's that nation, and he has a Uruguayan citizenship. I know his FIFA card has Uruguay on it, so it checks out.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that he didn't end up back in MLS. He's been in this league since he was like, what, 14 years old, 15 years old, making his debut. He's an MLS veteran. This guy's played for 15 years in Major League Soccer. He knows what it takes. And honestly, he wasn't worth 1.2 million last year, but I'm surprised there isn't a team throwing a figure about 800K at him. Not a situation that the Galaxy are in right now, because you talked about it, just the fact that, salary cap wise, we needed to open things up for we had to address that back line. That was the burning issue for the Galaxy. So this makes sense. This absolutely makes sense. Going back to Uruguay, after, he talked to us on the podcast about the fact that he hasn't really heard anything. Honestly, this is a savvy move from the team, from Penarol. I just make the phone call. If he hasn't had it, they probably watched the podcast. They were like, oh, this guy doesn't have any interest. We'll give him a ring. We'll offer him, $600K a year to come play for us. He still has plenty of gas left in the tank. This guy is not particularly old. I believe he's like 29 years old, maybe 30. So he still has plenty.
32 or 33.
Oh, really?
Let me check. I'll check real quick.
But he has gas left in the tank, and you could tell that. He won Galaxy Player of the Year. Maybe you could say that he didn't deserve that in particular, but he was clearly one of the better players once he came around. He's just not a winger anymore. His pace has kind of died down with his age, and he's transformed more into. He's what?
30.
Okay, he's 30.
So he's in his prime right now.
Yeah, you still get a few more years left of him. I'm just surprised that he didn't end up back in MLS, honestly. But if he was going to go anywhere, back home makes sense. He gets to bring his family back to Uruguay, and I think for all parties, this probably just. I mean, he had a good tenure with the Galaxy. He had a great tenure in MLS. It does suck that he's not going to reach that 80-80 club, which I think is probably the more disappointing thing. He was right there. I believe he was at 79-79. I know. Yeah, shoot. Maybe he'll come back to MLS for one season. When
he's got to. He's got to get the one goal.
Yeah. He has to.
And then what's called? I know we're talking Fagundes, but going to another Uruguayan former Galaxy player, Gaston Brugman. I don't think we have a graphic for this, but he's been rumored to go to a Serie B squad in Italy called Pescador. Yeah, I was looking through Twitter and I saw that. I didn't make a post about it because, this guy's been out the team for almost 2 years now, so it's not really like a player that I'm reporting on. But he's going to Pescadoria, I believe, in the Serie B. It's actually his old club before he came from Real Oviedo, the Galaxy. So he's going to the Serie B. That guy is 33 years old, I'm pretty sure. So he's coming to the end of his career. So yeah. Good for him. Getting a move, continue his career, gain some more money. So
yeah,
nothing wrong with the move.
Yeah, no, congratulations to him too. I know a lot of people said, hey, bring it back to the Galaxy, get the band back together. It's just, I think Will Kuntz wanted to finally move forward. It just, once again, Bergman, you'd need a guy who's going to play 34 games. I don't think he's going to play you 34 games. It's just, he needed to move on. The Galaxy needed to move on. Our fan base needed to. We'll see if that deal ends up getting done. But I would expect that Bergman probably doesn't remain within MLS just because of his salary demands. A lot of it comes down to this. I think if salary weren't an issue, Diego Fagundez would probably be back with the Galaxy in some capacity, or at least back in MLS. But Serie B side salary isn't really an issue, so they'll hit up a Gaston Bergman and be like, "Hey, come over here," and it works out better. It works out better for the player, works out better for the club. It's a bit difficult. That's why we talked about on the podcast why players. We talked about with Eli why players rarely stay in Major League Soccer for too many years. I think the salary cap system places a large strain on it. But yeah, he did just buy a house in LA. It feels like he finally just got settled in Los Angeles, but it's the industry. It's the industry. He knew that his contract was coming up to an end. It was a risk that he took. I don't know. He'll probably make solid money back on it. I don't think that would be too big of an issue to keep him in Los Angeles unless he decided to go across town, which I don't think is on the radar. They already have a lot of
they love their former G's.
They do.
They signed a lot of wingers though, so I don't know if they're going for another.
Wingers. Yeah, it's just it doesn't. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. We need to accept the fact that Brugman's gone, Fagundez is gone, and Pavone's never coming back. Those are the three things that we need to accept as a fan base and just move on.
Tyler Boyd's not coming back either. We can throw that
he started the bleached hair movement. I believe he was Ricky Puig's barber or something like that, or the guy who bleached his hair back when that whole 2024 run was going on. So yeah, Diego Fagundez, plenty of memories at the club. We'll have an update when he officially signs somewhere, but that just is the rumor right now, is that he's going to head back to Uruguay. And then we'll start with you, Tab. Your prediction. Do you think that we'll get a number 10 by the start of the season?
I sure hope so. I mean, we got CCC coming up in I think 2 weeks probably like a month actually. But I've seen posts that CCC are kind of promoting the tournament, and I'm pretty sure the first games may come out in 8 days now. I think the first game in the tournament is San Diego and Pumas, I'm pretty sure. So that's coming up soon. That's why they're not in CVI, but luckily we got the favorable draw, so we're on the opposite side, so we don't start till later on in February. But I think we need this 10 so we can do good. Obviously, we don't need a 10 to beat a team from Jamaica and Panama, I believe.
Yeah.
We can, with our current squad, we should breeze past that. But getting further onto the group stage or the tournament, we have what's most likely going to be a rematch against Toluca. And you need someone that can be there pulling the strings. And I don't think Marco Reus can be doing it for the whole season. I think in a one-off game or in a kind of two-leg series, sure, Marco Reus could do something. But further on, I don't think he can be that man for the Galaxy going through the season. So I do think we need a 10. So my prediction is yes. And my heart is saying I sure hope they do, or else the seat's gonna get very hot for Vanny and also very hot for Will Kuntz.
Yeah. Will also talked about the fact that Zonka is being bought out, that they're just finalizing the paperwork on that. That's been a rumor for a couple weeks now. We've talked about it on the podcast. His departure is very, very, very imminent. I would expect an announcement probably this week, if not next week. It just seems like they're sorting out the details. He'll go back wherever. It's not going to be within MLS. But to this question, I think there's pressure. I think there's pressure on the organization. I think a lot of Galaxy fans I've seen kind of have the I don't know. For me it's a little difficult because it feels like the same people who are very much Vanny out and very much Kuntz out are also like, but let's wait till the summer. Let's wait till the summer to go get a number 10. It doesn't add up to me. It doesn't add up to me for the fact that if this team is going to succeed, it cannot rely on Marco Reus. It can't. We're going to need to bring in a number 10. And I think Kuntz understands that the pressure is on now. You don't get the luxury of going a year and a half without a number 10. You had the luxury last season. Last season was your year to go play around and be like, oh, oops, we made a mistake. We should have probably got a number 10 at a point. Maybe we shouldn't have relied on Marco Reus. It can't happen. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe we won't have a number 10 on the roster by the first match day or whatever. or won't have, a non-Marco Royce number 10 on the roster by the first match days could be a very realistic possibility. There's a lot of things that you have to consider. And the closer that we get to the season, the more you have to kind of figure that, hey, anybody that comes in from abroad is going to have to go through a whole visa process. They're going to have to join the Galaxy in preseason and catch up to fitness where the club is right now. Obviously, we're not too deep into preseason, so, probably isn't too difficult. But the longer that you wait, it's going to end up coming back around. It's going to come back around to the point where if this attacking midfielder comes in, let's say March, he's not going to have a preseason. He's not going to have chemistry with these guys. And you could use it as an excuse, but I think the club has to understand that, hey, the excuse is that we're tired of them. It's over. Like, it's time to show out if you're the LA Galaxy. So maybe it won't be the first match day, but I think sooner than later it has to happen. We haven't heard a single rumor on a number 10. We didn't hear anything about Klauss until Tom Bogert broke it. So, maybe
I said something. I said something about Brazil. Goalie door. Did I not say that?
The message said attacking midfielder.
Well, I kind of put two and two together. I put what Kuhnson Van here saying and what I heard over here, and I put together. And I know I was a little off. Maybe my rumor's up here and John Klaus is down here, but it's in the same screen,
So we're getting a Japanese center back. Welcome back, Mario Yoshida. Yeah, it has to happen. It has to happen sooner than later if you're the LA Galaxy. The excuses are thin. What kind of prototype of an attacking midfielder would you like to see? Would you like to see another kind of Royce, maybe a bit younger, but another Royce-like guy? Or would you like to see somebody who's like a, Ricky Puig from Timu type of version where he's more agile? He wants to drop back. He wants to be on the ball. What's your ideal Vanny system, prototype?
I don't think you want another Ricky Puig kind of player that drops back and pulls strings like Ricky Puig does. Because when Ricky Puig comes back next season, you're gonna have two players have the same skill set, and you're gonna have to drop one. So I don't think that's the ideal kind of replacement that you kind of want. I think you want more of a player similar to Marco Reus, kind of like what you said, that can also get a ton of goal contributions, get a bunch of assists, get goals, but also kind of help back on defense. I think that's the main one. I think you kind of seen it through MLS. You have players like Paxton Aronson, who isn't really prolific for doing one thing. He's good at everything almost. Here's another player like that, Evander. He's more known for his goal contributions, but he also does some dirty work. He's not a player that just stays up front and does nothing on defense. So maybe someone like that where you can have a player that does a little bit of everything. So when Ricky Puig comes back, maybe this player can slot back into the 8 maybe and still have a role in this team. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. And
Yeah.
I'm no scout or anything. I'm just a Galaxy supporter. So who knows what we're going to get.
Yeah. It's difficult to predict right now the type of prototype that they want. I will say that even Ricky Puig at his best, I think you kind of had to sacrifice the fact that he wasn't going to drop back and help you on defense at all. So it wouldn't surprise me that if whoever they sign, like you said, can also play box-to-box midfielder very capably, because I think they want a guy that could, it seems like this year we're heading, you had 2024, which is very much, we're going to light it up. You could score 2 goals. We're going to score 7 on you. Like that team is just lethal. I think this Galaxy team in 2026 is a lot more defensive minded. That's why I wouldn't be surprised to see an attacking midfielder who also contributes a lot, dropping back and whatnot, and helping with the press, helping the Galaxy do the dirty work a bit, relieve some of the pressure off of Edwin Cerrillo in that midfield. I could very much see that being a possibility. It just depends. It depends. But do you see it being a U22 player or a TAM player? You looked at the TAM chart. It doesn't seem like we have a lot of money to play around with, but we do have some. What would you do?
Yeah, so right now I kind of made a little salary chart. I don't have it on me right now, but I'm pretty sure with the Klauss signing, we'd have to get rid of a player before we sign another player. And I think the player that, yeah. Oh, well, yeah, the GAM chart, but also off of the salaries that we have. So obviously you can buy down salaries with the GAM to make it cheaper. So I guess you could, yeah. We do have space for a player, but based off salaries from last season, I think you will have to most likely move on from a player to get a player in,
Yeah.
because if you have all these players on the roster, there's going to be some people that don't play, and a player like that, Christian Ramirez, isn't going to be happy on the bench.
No.
And then when he does get his chance, if he ever does, he's just not going to have the confidence because he's going to be right on the bench. So I think you have to get rid of someone like Christian Ramirez. Frees up 60,000 in general, or what's called in salary cap.
Yeah,
So
they're
it's a
fine.
big cap relief, and I'm sure there's suitors for him. So it makes sense if Hague is the one to move on. So that's what I think will happen personally.
Yeah, and that amount's also not taking into consideration the Zonka money. And also the Yoshida or not the Yoshida. I was looking at the next question.
What's called? I'm at salary cap chart. I did count no Zonka. I'm pretty sure with all the signings, we have 200K less salary than we did last season currently with Zonka out and Klaus in. So it's close.
But
It's not enough to get a good player.
Doesn't Klaus just have zero effect on it whatsoever?
Yeah.
Like
So it's
it's
200K.
just it offsets Ricky Pooge, so it just
Yeah.
doesn't really change much. And then we cash traded. We didn't use any GAM for that, which I feel like is the new method in Major League Soccer. Is you just don't want to use general allocation money, just pay him cash. Is Yoshida staying? I think he will. I think he will right now. I know he was rumored back to Nagasaki, and maybe there was, maybe if you couldn't find a solution for Zonka, that you were going to end up moving Yoshida. It depends, but it seems like Yoshida's probably CB3, CB4 right now. He is making a good amount of salary. Once again, when we talk about posturing for next year, this is a guy that's not going to be back with the club. Absolutely will not be back with the club next year unless it's on Zavaleta wages. He'll just go back to Japan probably. It's just some of these things are going to happen. We're probably going to give Justin Hack whatever salary Yoshida is going to clear off of the books next year. We're just going to bump up Hack's salary by that much. So I think Yoshida does stay. He's the captain, huge locker room guy. Players love him, has that connection with Miki Amane. Does he have a huge role as a player anymore? Maybe not. Maybe not. I would potentially even place Rindov above him in the center back chart at this point in his career, because I think Rindov in flashes look better than Yoshida at points. Could it be accumulation of a little bit of everything, just the team regressing a lot? Is Yoshida just finished? Maybe. But it remains to be seen. Maybe with a better back line, Yoshida's fine. I think he'll end up just being a bench piece for the Galaxy next year, and they'll move on from him in 2027.
I think one important thing that he does bring is the leadership to this group. I think right now, outside of Yoshida, you're kind of missing a leader. Obviously, you have Glesnes coming in, but you can't expect someone coming in from a different team to kind of already get ingrained into the culture of the club and what's already been, and also become a leader inside one season. I think that's kind of got to marinate a little bit. So maybe come next season, I think Glesnes could be the captain for the squad. But I think you need Yoshida to kind of bridge the two seasons, and then Glesnes can take the helm come next season. And this brings me to a question for you, and also the chat as well. With Yoshida out, who do you think becomes a captain? Because Yoshida's not going to be starting games. So you think Pencil's going to be the captain starting?
Yeah.
I think it's Marco Reus for the games that he's starting.
Could be. It could be. I wouldn't hate that. I think he has a lot of leadership ability too. I just saw a lot last season whenever, even Soria is a good shout for that captain's armband, maybe a little young for it. But he has that fire. He has that passion. He's, he has that one press conference thing where they were like, after the game against Inter Miami, they're like, did you tell Messi, like, don't mess with Texas? And he's like, I'm from LA now. Like, I just consider myself from LA. It's a guy that loves the club. I think he'll be here for a very long time. So I could see him being the captain in the future, but you saw Paintsel get the armband a few times last year. I think he is also a very vocal leader. I could see it being Marco Reus. I think Gillespie being captain isn't as far-fetched as people think it will be. This season, I know it's a bit soon, and like you said, he's a guy just coming into a new locker room, so probably won't be the case. But if Paintstill's ever being rotated for a game or whatnot, maybe Gillespie gets a bit more integrated into the squad, the culture. And I think as the season goes along, he'll probably grab that armband a few times. Would not surprise me whatsoever. So I could see that. And then Tab, we'll throw it back to you. Pause. You're rating A to F on the new back line.
I think this is an A- back line. I think you can't really get better in MLS. I'm looking across other teams. I think we might have the most, not even, first of all, we have the best starting 11 back line, I think. But I also think we have the best depth in the back line in all of MLS.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better team that had. So maybe I'll say A actually. And depending on how the season goes, I think it could be an A+.
I'll say
that's
A-.
my rating.
I'll go back to A-. I think the goalkeeper situation isn't as solidified. Sure. I don't hate Novak. I'm definitely a lot less critical on him than a lot of people are. But if he takes that step up, then yeah, it moves into A territory. If he becomes a top 10, even a top 10 goalkeeper in Major League Soccer, we're shooting for the stars here. But if he does become that, and hey, what better way to become a top 10 goalkeeper than not having to face a high volume of shots? That could just end up stepping up his game. He's being peppered last year. This could ultimately just end up being better off for him. But am I sold on Novak Mitrovic? Not quite. I do agree. I think our fullback depth is our strongest point. In fact, we might have the best fullback depth in all of Major League Soccer.
And center back.
Yeah,
that's what I think all for the back line, even goalkeeper, you could say. We basically have 2 starting caliber GKs in the league on our team.
Yeah,
we had the same situation last year, and we have it this year as well. I think JT is definitely capable of becoming a starter elsewhere. But unfortunately, he's behind a Mikovic that is just better than him, I think, personally. And I think if you look across the back line, there's the CB2, the RB2, the LB2, the GK2 are all starting quality center backs in different positions in the defense, but they just have better players in front of them. And sometimes you can't do anything about that. You just have someone better in front of you, and you just got to work. And if you get the chance, you got the next man up mentality, and you got to step up. And hopefully, who was it? Tom Brady said back when he was with the Patriots, if they put me on the field, I'm not coming off. So maybe that's the mentality they have to have when they get the chance, because they know they got competition.
That was something we missed last year. I think that was something that the Galaxy honestly struggled with, was the fact that it was like, okay, Amiro Garces is in a slump. What do? We don't have anybody. I mean, Rendov wasn't in the Rendov wasn't in the picture. And the fact that Zonka literally benched Garces at a point last year is just insane looking back on it. Where now it's like, okay, let's say Hack doesn't come off to a firing start. Let's say he's playing center back in this case. He might play midfield. But let's say that he's playing center back and he doesn't come off to a great start for the Galaxy. Okay. Start Gillespie and Garces. That's fine. Or, if Garces isn't, have Gillespie and Hack at center back. That's fine. You can do these things that we couldn't do last year. It's like, okay, let's say Cuevas is becoming a defensive liability. Oh, you got Yamane, and maybe Yamane is back. And Harbor Miller. Harbor Miller is the guy who's going to get a lot more play time. Also, Miki Yamane is not coming back next year. When you start to look towards 2027, and I think it's very clear that there's certain guys that are playing their last year for the LA Galaxy. I think Miki Yamane is one of them. I think Mai Yoshida is one of them. Julianade, I think it's a make or break year for him. I think taking up a U22 spot as a left back, it's not going to happen for 4 years. It's not. He's going to either be the guy at left back and become one of the better, guys in Major League Soccer, or he's just going to get shipped elsewhere. Going back to guys that could be playing their last year for the Galaxy, I think, Christian Ramirez, if he's still on the roster, will probably be playing his last year. Gabriel Peck has been itching to go back to Europe. I'm sure he could very much bounce to Europe after this year. But it all feels like a setup. It all feels like everything's pushing towards 2027 right now. So therefore, we start to look at expectations, and you could kind of, I think the Klauss signing is a flag and a sign right now that we need to take note of, that the Galaxy are not going to be MLS Cup contenders. And that's okay. They don't need to be MLS Cup contenders. I think that 2023 to 2024 bounce is very rare. I know I said last year on this podcast that we would have that bump again, but you start to look at how realistic things play out. We don't have 2 designated player spots to open up to fill around Ricky Pooch. And we have a stopgap DP, basically. We have a guy that needs to take over for a year and then figure it out next year, whether he comes back on TAM or not. There's good pieces going into 2027, like Hack and Galesnes. But you really, and Cuevas, Peck, Paintsil, if they stay, Klauss, I think on a long-term deal would be good. Cerrillo, you have the pieces in play. I just feel like this is all a build towards 2027. This is going to be a gap year, and I think people need to realize it. However, like we always emphasize, there needs to be expectations. This team can't miss playoffs again, and if it does, everybody gets sacked. I don't care what excuses happen. It can't happen again. They've missed playoffs 3 of the last 5 years in the Vanny era. There's been certain strides. We've won MLS Cup. He's brought a trophy on the table, but that only lasts you so long. So next question, how many goals does Klauss score in all competitions? Only CONCACAF and MLS play for the Galaxy this year, so probably hampers it a little more. If we're playing Leagues Cup or Open Cup, I would go with a little more, but Tab?
I think he should get more than 15. Considering we play a Panamanian team and a Jamaican team over 2 legs, that's 2 or 4 games that you should be in at least 1 goal in. They have a 34-game season plus playoffs, hopefully, where you should be scoring at least over 15, I think, in my opinion. If you're going to be a DP striker and then hopefully the striker for the coming years, I think if you have high aspirations and you want to be on the Galaxy team in year 9, you got to be scoring goals. You got to be the perfect goal scorer that LA needs, that we need. And I think to do that, to stay in the club, I think you got to get more than 15. That's just my opinion.
It depends. I've talked to St. Louis fans. They are very upset about this Joao Klauss thing because they really liked him. They're, once again, it's the golden rule of soccer. Whatever the fans think about a player is probably a pretty good indication of how good they're going to be for you. And St. Louis fans are not too happy about Klauss leaving the club. So this is good. This is very good for the Galaxy. I think it depends. Like I said, I think if Leagues Cup was in play, if we were playing in 3 competitions, then I would say above 15 as well. But he does play a bit more of like a false 9 role a little bit. He's not just a peer. I do like the physical presence. This is something that intrigues me because the Galaxy haven't had this in years. The Galaxy haven't had a striker since, Ramirez was supposed to be that guy through and through, just a consistent, goal scorer. He could score from headers. He'll play you all 34 games. He could score from headers. He could score with his feet. He's all over the place. He could score off of corner kicks, set pieces. He's just an all-around threat. I think that's what you're getting with Klauss. And we really haven't had that physical dominance at the striker position since Zlatan. Dejan, very clinical poacher, but he was a Chicharito type striker, in my opinion. He was a very, very, very clinical, got in the right places. That's why him and Chicharito didn't work out as, starting together, is the fact that they're pretty much the same striker. Dejan was very, very much younger and more raw at the time, ended up coming around in 2024 as the guy. But they played the same prototype. Zlatan was the last real physical striker. And I'm not saying Klauss is going to be Zlatan at all. I'm just saying he's really the last guy who matches up physically to Joao Klauss. Look at how inefficient we were last year off of set pieces. It was a corner kick, and you're like, okay, why even take it? Why even take the corner kick? Because we don't have any guys that could really get up there in the box. Maybe Yoshida can notch one in every once in a while. You have Hack. You have Yoshida off the bench, maybe. You have Klauss.
Lesnes I think is 6'3".
Huge threat.
And he has a thunder. I can't say the end of the word, but he's got an absolute rocket for a finish. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe we'll see some rockets at the digs. Also, to clarify, not 15 goals. I think 15 goal contributions.
Yeah, that's fair. I think
Yeah.
that's fair. I think goal scoring wise, I think 12 to 13 goals, maybe a few assists too on top of that is probably what you're realistically looking at. You end up re-signing him on TAM, and I think I don't even want to talk about 2027, but it builds pretty good into it. Like we're talking about, I just it's all dependent on how Ricky Puig comes back, and God knows how Ricky Puig is going to come back. You kind of have the thought sometimes that he might just never be the same player, and it's kind of depressing. Even more so the fact that it's just not in his control. He might just come back and never be the same guy. Wouldn't put it past him to come back and still be good, but it's just after missing 2 straight years, inshallah, it's not going to be good. We'll see. We'll see, but I think Klauss realistically 12, 13 goals sounds about right for me. We got another question. Who's the longest tenured player, starter at this point?
Oh,
Surreal?
it's been 2 seasons, no? Or I guess 2.5. 2.5. Oh, let's see. Alda's been here longer than him, no? Who else?
Yeah, that might be right. That might be right.
I guess it's not really would that be considered
like a fringe starter, but I think that counts. I think Ade counts there. It's probably Ade and Surreal. I mean, look at the Galaxy roster every 3 years and see how much it changes. It's hilarious. Because it's Major League Soccer and everything has to turn over very, very, very quickly. And you're going to see it again in 2029 that this team's going to look completely different. It's going to be nobody that we even have on our radar right now. It's just how fast this league turns over. And yeah, Edwin Surreal might not be on this roster in 3 years for whatever reason. Julian Ade might not be on this roster this year. We'll see how that all works out. But yeah, I think it is Julian Ade. If not, then Edwin Surreal. How long is Roy's contract? Another guy I forgot to mention. He's not coming back next year.
Well, there's that rumor over the what was it? It was I'm blanking, but there's a rumor that Galaxy is happy with Royce and Royce is happy with Galaxy, and they were going to sign another year contract. Obviously, that has kind of stalled, but who knows? I mean, there's rumors that he might get extended for another year into the 2027 season. I highly doubt it, but that source did seem true. It was coming from Royce's agent. So we'll see if that comes across the line, they come to an agreement, because I think that's what's coming through. Because if it's coming from the agent, or I guess in most cases, it's true. He wouldn't just spew out that for no reason. But agents do that, so maybe I'm lying. So I could be lying.
Yeah.
So thinking about more now, but I think I don't think we should sign Royce another contract, especially with Ricky coming back, and hopefully this Japanese player that I'm thinking of comes. I think you have those 2 10s, and there's no need for Royce, and that gives you a max 10 contract to give to someone else.
If you
that
want
could be Talkin Klauss.
Yeah, that's true. If you want to sign him to, here's my thing, is that if you want to sign him through the mini season, I don't care. Go for it. If you want to sign him through the mini season and just be like, all right, but if you're signing him up through 2028, Royce is going to be 39 years old in 2028. He's going to be going on 39 years old towards the end of that season, where MLS Cup playoffs would be. 39-year-old Marco Royce. Can we think about that for a second? This guy can't play 34 games as it is. A lot of injury issues throughout his whole career. I'm sorry. If this is a deal that we're doing right now before the start of 2026, it's stupid. I don't know. There hasn't been any progression on it, so maybe it won't happen. But in my opinion, you have to see how this season plays out before you commit to Marco Royce long term, because that's basically saying that, hey, we're going to depend on you at at least age 38 to be a contributor for the LA Galaxy. I don't buy it. I don't buy that that's a formula to put another trophy on the table. If he wants to come back at very reduced wages, sure, but I don't know. He loves Manhattan Beach, though. It doesn't get better than Manhattan
Who
Beach.
doesn't? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
And then also, what's it called? This rumor was coming out. I think it's during the beginning of the offseason. So this was when then Ricky Puig was rumored to get coming back. So when Royce and Puig were on the same field together, they did complement each other in
Yeah.
the way they played. So maybe that's what they're kind of thinking. But now that Ricky's not going to come back to 27 season, I think there's no real point. So
That is
that's maybe
true.
why we haven't heard anything since then. So maybe talk has stalled and deals off. But he does have he is contracted with the Galaxy through the season to answer that question.
If the LA Galaxy are rolling with Ricky Puig and the 37-year-old Marco Royce next season going on 38, I will have a lot of questions. I will have a lot of questions as to what went wrong. And it's not the recipe for success. Haven't heard anything on it since, so maybe it won't happen. But if he does come back, it's gonna have to be on like Yoshida wages currently, like 500K ish. He's gonna have to basically slice his salary in half. But in my opinion, there's no rush. Zero rush, zero pressure. The stadium pulse is on very low. Like, bro, we don't need to do this. Just calm down, Will. Like, please. Just wait until December and figure it out. See how many games he plays. See how successful he is with the club. See if he could still play after this year. And if he can, then you deal with it. But for now, just back off. We don't need to be agreeing to these type of deals right now. But we haven't heard anything on it since. So, your honest prediction, I guess, lineup prediction, and where do you think we end up in CCL?
I think the prediction is what I put out on my Instagram maybe like a week ago. So I think it's Mikovic in goal, Glesnes Garcia center back duo, Cuevas Nelson left back, right back, Cerrillo and Hack as a double pivot with Royce ahead of him. And then actually now it's changed because João Klauss is in. So João Klauss at the 9 and Peck and Panther on the wings. That's my ideal starting 11. Obviously, I think coming into, I think we got Orange County up next in a friendly, and then we got Coachella after that. So I think Coachella games, you won't see that exact lineup just to kind of, in preseason, you're not always starting your starting lineup because maybe there's some knocks or stuff, or maybe you want to test out a different kind of lineup. So maybe we'll see a full strength lineup in Coachella for the 2 games. Maybe you see most of us full strength starting lineup. So it'll be interesting to see who Vanny puts out on the field. But I think currently that's our strongest starting 11.
Yeah, no, I would say that our strongest starting 11 is very similar. I would go Novak in net, Ade left back, Garces and Glesnes center backs, Cuevas right back, Hack, Cerrillo, and Royce in the midfield, Klauss, Paintsil, and Peck. And I'm going to be honest, that's a play-in caliber lineup at best. I think you're probably looking at 9th seed. I don't know. There's moves to be made. Kuntz said that a number 10 will be coming, probably somewhat, or not a number 10 in particular, but another attacker will be coming. We assume it's a number 10. A follow-up move to the João Klauss one. I'm assuming that, when I look at the Klauss move, it really just seems like something to me where it's like, okay, I think they have 2 things lined up here. I think that this Klauss move happened because they probably got a U22 attacking midfielder. They're finalizing a deal for an attacking midfielder, a U22 or a TAM player that makes a lot of sense for them. And this Klauss deal also makes a lot of sense for them. It feels like there's 2 things attached to this, and we've only seen half of it right now, which is why initially when the news came out, you're a little disappointed. It's because like, oh, this is it. Like we're not getting a better attacking midfielder than Joao, or we're not getting a better attacking midfielder on a DP contract. We're just getting a striker in Joao Klauss. I mean, it was a position in need. I don't think Nascimento is capable of, carrying it. But I just opened a whole can of worms. I'll get to that in a second. Who do you think will be the biggest surprise of the year for the LA Galaxy? And just come out of nowhere, let's say. You've seen a guy like Harbor Miller, Cuevas break out last year. So I don't know. Do you have a name that pops to your head, Tab?
One that pops up to like just instant thought. I'm thinking Justin Hack. I think Hack will play a significant role in the team that
Go more
you see
niche than that.
niche in that. Because I was thinking like, you hear the big signs like Glesnes and
Everyone wanted Hack.
Nascimento and Talkin Klauss, and you kind of forget about Justin Hack. Maybe he's kind of forgotten signing. Obviously, the diehards like us have our eyes on Hack because of how good he has been for NYCFC. But to the casual fan, they're probably like, "Oh, we signed a free agent. Like, who is this free agent we signed?" So I think for the Galaxy community, I think Justin Hack's going to be a really surprise. That's just my guess. But if you want me to go niche, I'll let you go now. I'll think of something niche.
A lot of teams wanted Justin Hack. It might not be a Galesnes name. In fact, I would say that I'm probably more excited for Hack than Galesnes. So I think Galesnes will probably have more off the rip to provide for the Galaxy. But I think Hack's a guy here for the next 4 years ish. But what were you gonna say?
I'm gonna say Mikovic. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
No, yeah,
that's fine.
I think he's having a breakout season. He's got a good back line in front of him. So why not have a good season? And if he doesn't have a good season, then we need to get rid of him.
He's gone. Yep. I agree. I think the pressure is on Novak, but I think they're going to give him one more year. You saw Ethan Horvath ended up signing. God, where did he sign?
Red Bulls.
Red Bulls. Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah. Hearing the fans' reaction. What team was he on? They're like
Luton Town. No, that's where he was when.
They're about to get relegated for the championship. I think they have negative points. It's that team.
Is it Preston North End? Let me look it up. I think it's Preston.
Whatever team he's on, the fans hate him. So I think I'm okay with that. I don't think
Cardiff City.
Huh?
Cardiff City.
Cardiff. Yeah.
I think they're a Welsh team.
Yeah. So that's fair, but I'm gonna go even more niche than that.
You gotta say like I'm gonna go bold. You gotta you know what I'm talking about? The Portuguese dude that was talking ball. I was like, you don't know that? Oh, Chat, you gotta come out and help me out. He's like, I'm gonna go bold. I'm gonna go Nunes left back. It was Euro 2018, I think. You don't remember that?
I have no clue what you're
talking way. About, someone in the chat, please let me know I'm not going crazy.
You are.
No. I'll send you a clip after. It was really viral on TikTok.
I want to say, I mean, I'm not going to count Harbour Miller for this, but I think Harbour Miller will get a lot of minutes as a backup winger potentially, because I don't think the Galaxy are signing another winger. So yeah, I think that's going to be the move for the club, is playing a guy like Harbour or Mauricio Cuevas in that wing position. But I will go with, I think, IGP. I think
you have to go over the weekend.
Yeah, I think IGP will take a step up for the Galaxy. I don't know how I feel about that actually. I'm going niche. And I'm gonna put my money on IGP.
Hey, it can't get worse than that Riley Delgado shot from Galaxy Times.
Yeah, Riley Delgado. I mean, he could.
Great player, great guy.
Yeah,
but
this year he could do some good things for the Galaxy. Does Lepley count in this?
I think he could, yeah.
Lepley. I think Lepley will take a good role with the Galaxy this year. Like we said, midfield's our biggest issue of need, or our biggest position of need right now. And I think Tucker Lepley could potentially take a step up in that role and maybe become a fringe starter. I want to see Winder become a solidified 10-min starter every game. If he could take that leap, I think the Galaxy can go farther than a play-in spot, but that's probably where I have him out right now. And yeah, I do think that Julian Ade, if another U22, if you see us rumored to another U22, writings on the wall for Julian Ade to go back to Europe or to go to Europe or back to Argentina. Let's see. Is there anything else? This was a good point. Is that the rumor of Royce got an extension? Is that the Galaxy don't announce extensions until midway through the season, or like Ramirez, when you think that he's gonna for sure be gone, they're like, oh hey, he's coming back. We already agreed to that, like February. When we traded for him, that was already done. It could be the case that Royce is already penned in an extension and we're just catastrophically screwed next year. But we'll have to let time play that one out. Let's see. Hate to bring them up, but are we going to be like LAFC, play defensive most of the game and counter with Peck or Paintsil, or what is our style? I don't see that being our style, though. I feel like Vanny Ball is a very possession-based system. I think regardless of how much they've strengthened the back line, you could say that we're just going to park the bus most of the game, play a little Haram ball. I don't see it happening. I think we do have speed on the counter attack. You saw it in 2024. Some of our best goals came on the counter. But in this case, it's just not Vanny Ball. I think that's why you urgently need a number 10. Is the fact that you need a guy that's going to help you maintain that possession. Look at that 2024 team. That team had so much possession. 2025, we were terrible, but we were holding on to the ball. There was very few games where we didn't have the majority of the possession. It's what you do with that possession. It's how efficient you are with it. It's the chances you create off of it. And that's why you need a number 10. So what is our style? It's very possession based. I think you're very reliant on fullbacks overlapping. That's why Mauricio Cuevas plays such a big role in that system. Underrated shout is the fact that I think Cuevas, if he's on this team next year and he doesn't go back to Mexico, will absolutely cook with a physical, tall striker with Joao Klauss. I think Cuevas will take an even bigger step up next year. So that's another good one. Maybe even Yamane has about bounce back season off of just Joao Klauss being so physically dominant as he is. So I think it's very dependent. Even Julian Ades, he'll get up and down that line. He can make overlapping runs too. It has attacking fullbacks in the system. I think you just need a box-to-box midfielder to soak up the pressure. I don't think Edwin Cerrillo can do it all again. It can't happen. If the Galaxy are going to be significantly better than what they were in 2025, it's going to be in the midfield. It's going to have to start in the midfield. And it starts with taking the load off of Edwin Cerrillo so he doesn't have to be all over the pitch for 90 minutes. It can't happen. He's not Mark Delgado. You can't make him Mark Delgado, and you can't make Lucas Sanabria Mark Delgado. They're both their individual players. It's just, you need a number 8 that's going to do you all the dirty work. Mark Delgado went so underappreciated until the end because he did all of the dirty work in the midfield for the Galaxy. And you saw without him last year, we were getting overran. So Tab, Vanny Ball, what is it to you?
Yeah, so obviously in 24, you've seen how good the Galaxy were, and that was because they had multiple options. They could play short and play through the midfield with Ricky Puig, Edwin Cerrillo, Mark Delgado. And then you see in 2025, teams forced the Galaxy to play through the midfield because they knew the only like offensive threat they had was Peck and Paintsil, and that was direct. So team sat back and said, you know what, Galaxy, you play through the midfield. Let's see how you do. And the guy said, okay, we'll play through midfield, thinking they're 2024 Galaxy, but they are not. They were like 2023 Galaxy, where they were super inconsistent and they couldn't do it. And that's where you see the kind of the downfall of Vanny Ball, is when there isn't an option. You saw with Toronto, they had great players like Giovinco and Altidore and Michael Bradley kind of playing through the middle. And they also had fast wingers. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they had wingers that they could play direct. And they could get Giovinco on the ball in the attacking third off of Altidore playing long and him taking it down, and Giovinco's running at defenses. And in 2024 Galaxy, you could go along with Peck and Paintsil, and they're like, oh, we got to back up. And then when they back up, Ricky Puig drops between the lines and picks up the ball, and he does his thing, and he just breaks down defenses. So that's why the 2024 Galaxy was so good. It's because teams didn't know what to do. They didn't know whether to drop back or press high. And if they did either of those, Galaxy used to be the opposite thing. So that's how we were so possessionally dominant is because teams didn't know what to do against us. In 2025, you kind of saw a drop off because teams knew Galaxy was predictable. They knew it's going to go to Peck, Peck's going to try to dribble, and they would double team him. You see it last year. That's why Peck wasn't as good that I think he was in the 2024 season. It's because teams realized double team Peck and he's not a threat. Double team Pencil and he's not a threat. So they double up on the wide, and Galaxy couldn't do anything. Our offensive threat was 0 to none. You can't do anything with Nascimento because he needs player to play off of him. He can't do stuff by himself. So that's why I think this 10 is so versatile, because this will determine whether the Galaxy is going to be good or terrible this season. You need this 10 to either play through the midfield, or if we go long, he can be an underlapping player and get the ball and run a defense, is similar to how Ricky Puig has or Giovinco at Toronto under Vanny Ball. Yeah. So that's why this 10 is so important.
Yeah, even more important than Klauss. Even more important than any of them is because he's going to be the outlet to them. So we'll have to see as preseason progresses. Rumors, start to intensify what that ends up being. Galaxy, however, played their first preseason game, closed-door scrimmage against the Portland Timbers, in which they won 1-0, clean sheet already. Clean sheet, got the victory. We may never lose. We may never lose in 2026. This is just the new Galaxy. It's a new year. And we're still missing penalties. Joseph Paintsil missed a penalty. I think the Portland Timbers released a clip of it, just sailed it, didn't even get it on target, didn't even force a good save, just absolutely nailed one of the boards on the back. So, classic. I think Royce is probably our pen taker if he's on the field. He's just got to be the guy. He's a phenomenal penalty taker. I trust him fully. But if not, then it's Paintsil, but not a great start. But as we talked about earlier, Isaiah Parente had the lone goal for the LA Galaxy. We didn't get to see this match in motion, so everything's kind of just a rumor, but we know that Glesnes played. Did Hack play? I didn't really see any photos.
It was the second half. So the starting 11 was Mikovic, Nelson, Glesnes, Garces, Cuevas. In the midfield is Cerrillo, Royce, and Winder. And up top it was Nascimento, Pekka Paintsil. And in the second half, we don't know exactly all the players, but we can kind of put the photos in. You had JT in goal. You had backline of Yoshida and probably Hack, most likely. Yeah. And then Aude and Himane. And in the midfield, this is where it starts getting thin. You had probably Parente. You had Lefley probably in there. That's probably Sanabria got his minutes. Yeah, and then up top, you probably had, Gino Vivi, Ramirez, and who would the winger be? I'm trying to think.
Probably Harbor.
Harbor. Yeah. That's probably what the lineups were.
Yeah. So I mean, that first half lineup looks pretty first choice. I mean, and maybe that signals that John Nelson is the starting left back as it stands, which is an interesting tidbit in there, is that if that's true, even more writing is on the wall that you could probably see something pop up about Julian Aude in the next few days or weeks. It all depends. I think the Galaxy, we didn't get to see much of this game, but starting off on the front foot, kind of wiping out everything that happened in 2025 and getting a fresh slate is a good start. Another thing that we want to touch on here is that Nascimento is officially back. The Galaxy announced it on their social media. We knew this was going to happen, but Galaxy officially announced that Matthias Nascimento is coming back on loan until the summer, I believe. So he'll be back for the time being, but he was in the lineup there. I would expect that he is not starting when the season comes around. But also in that lineup, that's a back four. Everybody said that we're going to shift to a back three. I don't see it happening right now. I don't think we're built to play in a back three, and I think the Galaxy recognize that. So maybe this also signals to the fact that it's just going to be a back four, and they're going to probably throw Hack into the midfield once he gets more acclimated with the team. But I definitely wouldn't expect Hack or Glesnes or Garces to be on the bench at all. They're going to have to figure out a way to play them all together. It's going to have to happen. But good start to preseason. I mean, I wish we could have saw the Galaxy have some more closed door games coming up, I believe. Tab, do you have more information on this?
Yeah, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I know we got Orange County coming up.
Yeah.
They just played a scrimmage against LAFC, and LAFC won 1-0 with a Bouanga goal.
Penalty?
So Galaxy, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
But
probably.
Galaxy gets a chance against Orange County as well, and you you can compare the two games and think, oh, how did LAFC do versus Galaxy? Maybe you can put a little bet in on what teams can do better. But obviously, it's just preseason. It's a USL Championship squad. Most of their teams, mostly like young guys coming through the academy and stuff. But yeah, they got Orange County coming up, and then I think it's CVI after that. So you got was it Chicago on the weekend, and I forget who we play on the Wednesday. Do you know off the top of your head?
I have no clue. I have no clue.
Oh, I think it's St. Louis, I think.
Oh, okay.
So Talkin Klauss will get his return against his old club. If it's not
playing. He wasn't playing in their preseason games, which was also
against Red Bulls. Yeah.
But
he'll play again. I know we play St. Louis at some point during preseason, so Talkin Klauss will get his redemption game against St. Louis. Revenge tour starts off in preseason, then he'll get 2 more games in the regular season against him. So
yeah. They're like, all right, thanks for the $2 million. Check cleared.
Yeah. Oh, we play DC on the 31st. So is that? It's 31st.
February. Okay. I mean, the Coachella Valley is really the thing that you're going to be looking at in here. I believe we play 2 Coachella Valley games, and then we start, I believe, February 19th is the start of the actual official games. Go ahead.
Okay, so this Saturday, according to Samuel, we play DC, and then OC on 2/4. What? Either
February 4th.
Oh, February 4th. So I'd be following once. Oh, I'm tripping. I read 2/4. I read 1/2.
DC in 1/2.
Okay, so this Saturday we got DC. On next Wednesday we got Orange County, and then it's Coachella time.
Yeah, February 8th against St. Louis. February 8th Chicago, 11th St. Louis, and 13th RSL. So I would expect some rotation in those games. If you're going to make the trip out to Coachella, I recommend it. Went last year. You going
this year?
No way. I live a lot further away from Coachella than I did before.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was more of.
You want to docs where you're going to college?
That was already hinted at last pod.
But what's called? If you didn't know, Gael, our good friend who's been on the pod, he goes to Fullerton.
Really?
Oh no. Is it Fullerton? Do you remember?
He goes to Cal State Long Beach. Yeah.
He goes to Long Beach. So if you see him at Long Beach, make sure you say hi, take a picture.
Yeah.
Our good friend LA Galaxy Commentary goes there as well. So if you see him, take a picture. They love the attention over there.
Galaxy Commentary. We got Carlos. Shout out Carlos. He goes to, good friend of mine. He goes to Cal State Long Beach. We got a lot of Cal State Long Beach boys. But if you ever see Galaxy memes, make sure to take a picture and tell them in front of all of his friends. Yeah. Be like, wait, you're Galaxy memes on Instagram, right? And show all of his friends the posts that he makes.
And make sure you clip this part of the podcast, and they'd be like, tag and Peyton sent you.
Yeah, clip that. So yeah, always make sure to say hi. Anyway, preseason is moving for the LA Galaxy. And the last piece of news that we have for you guys is Ricky Puig. Well, not that anything's progressing on it because he's not going to be back. But Ricky Puig, we got more details on the injury. Tab, you wanna tap into this?
Yeah, obviously when he tore his ACL and got the news from Tom Bogert, we always kind of speculate like, oh, what happened? Did this just kind of happen in training, or did he do it off the field? I know we were speculating about it in the last podcast and previous ones as well. Like, what happened? Like, what could have caused this to happen? And who did this terrible deed to Ricky Puig, to our beloved Pookie Puig? But I got a post coming out soon that you guys will like, and it includes something like Pookie in it. So keep an eye out for that. I'll probably be over this weekend. But anyways, off topic. Ricky Puig tore his ACL. He retore it. he was doing some training in his return to play protocol that the Galaxy kind of sent out to him. And when he's doing, he felt a little tweak. So he came out, he went to his doctor, and okay,
I
no,
knew
maybe
it.
not.
I knew
I mean,
it.
I wouldn't be surprised that
What did
he
they
came
say?
out of the
He's like- he's
training.
like twink or whatever.
He came out of training and he went to his doctor, and then his doctor ran some tests, and then he said to Ricky, "You retore your ACL. We have to go into surgery again to repair it." So it sucks, but I mean, I guess it's not worst case scenario. Obviously, this is a terrible case, but I say worst case is he goes down like he kind of did in the playoffs, where he literally can't move and he's in so much pain. But he did his training and he kept playing and he was fine. But he felt that little tweak, and then he goes to his doctor, and then bad news, ACL is torn again. They need reconstructive surgery for a second time in 2 years.
Yeah, with that. I don't really. For me, it's like, why not say that from the beginning? And like, yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it there. I won't probe any further. But I just look. It does make sense. It does make sense that he'd feel a little tweak. It's just, gosh, it wasn't the initial surgery. He just retore it again. Bad luck. Completely bad luck for the LA Galaxy. Bad luck for Ricky Puig. And he pushed himself very hard to come back. You could tell, and I don't even want to think about it. It makes me sad. Sometimes I think about the fact, like, dude, what if we went to extra time against Seattle? What if we went to extra time in that
I think
game?
he has to come off. He surely gets to play on it more.
There is no way he would have lasted all 30 minutes in extra time against Seattle. Zero chance, because that would have his adrenaline would have wore off as soon as that break hit.
Yeah. But also, I think he wouldn't have wanted to come off. I think he would have stayed on. But then he becomes a detriment to the team if he did.
Yeah. And look, maybe I'm stupid here. Maybe I'm missing something. But is this not two separate stories? Once again, I'll leave it here. I'm just laying out the facts. Is that Ricky Puig is like, on one hand, you have Ricky Puig. He said that it was the initial surgery that didn't go right. It wasn't fully successful and they had to do it again. That was a little weird. Why would you go back to the same doctor? Why is it taking you this long to learn it's unsuccessful? On the other hand, you have the Galaxy now saying that, hey, he felt a tweak and it ended up being a re-tear. That's more plausible to me. But is it really just a little tweak if you completely blew it up again? Like if your ACL just explodes again?
So I had a couple of teammates that have tore their ACL. Terrible luck, and I'm sorry for them. But
yeah.
So one of them, my teammate jumped up. It's on turf. Our turf is terrible at our college, and he lands on it and then he goes down. And he's in excruciating pain. What is it?
What? And shout out your college.
Oh no, I'm good. It's a SoCal college. You can take your pick. Come check out every single SoCal college. I'm sure you'll find me at one of them. But anyways, he goes down in excruciating pain. He's crying and for help because it's in so much pain. But then there's sometimes we're playing futsal and he's just running and he takes a shortcut. He stops suddenly and he tore his ACL and he was walking fine, but he felt something was off. So it could just be a tweak, kind of like what Ricky did there.
Yeah.
But I mean, these ACL injuries, so much can go wrong with them, and ACL, there's so much strain on your ACL as a soccer player as well. So it's just not ideal.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just tough luck for him, man. I mean, doesn't get much worse than this. It completely jeopardizes his career and future with the Galaxy. You hope and wish that he comes back the same player, but you start to look at the reality of things and think that maybe it's time to start moving past the Ricky Puig era, which is just so depressing to think about. Ricky Puig, we finally got the details on it, or whatever that may end up or may not end up being true. We'll only learn with time, or maybe not. That's pretty much all we have for you guys tonight. I mean, the Klauss deal is a huge piece for the Galaxy. Hopefully next pod we'll have I don't see any comment in the chat anymore. Maybe next pod we'll have news on the number 10 coming to the Galaxy.
Right.
And yeah, we'll just have to see with time. So anyway, Tab, where can people find you?
Galaxy Runslay over on Instagram, TikTok, and X.
As for myself, I am Anfield Headlines _ on Instagram, or Talking Galaxy on TikTok. Make sure to go follow our TikTok account right now if you haven't, or Talking Galaxy on Instagram. Make sure to follow both of those. Subscribe, like the podcast if you haven't already. We reached an hour 30 minutes. That's our goal for the day. And